All right, I want to talk about three more cards from Secrets of Strixhaven that have made it into my commander decks. I'm not going to talk about cards that are super rare and that we all wish we cracked that would go in every single deck, like Force of Will or anything like that. No, I'm going to talk about cards that I actually cracked that have actually made it into specific commander decks that I actually own. So the first card I want to talk about is Astensian Sanguinist, which went into my Michael Tyrant deck. So that is a very goofy deck. It's about as close to bracket 1 as I have. The idea is to create a whole bunch of fungus tokens, not so that I can necessarily overrun them, though I do have a couple of overrun effects in the deck, but the primary goal of the deck is to turn them all into mana dorks so I can cast some big goofy X spells. And so I did have Exsanguinate in that deck, but of course Exsanguinate is a sorcery, so it doesn't contribute to the descend mechanic, right? And sorceries are also kind of hard to get back from the graveyard, and so Stensian Sanguinist is a creature, but has Exsanguinate attached to it. So I can recur Stensian Sanguinist from the graveyard a lot easier, and she herself, if she gets milled, will contribute to the descend mechanic. So that's one of the cards from Secrets of Strixhaven. The second card I want to talk about is Slumbering Trudge. So that went into my Shadowheart Cloakwood Hermit deck. So that deck is a very fair deck that's just all about ramping and then casting some efficient trampling creatures and then just turning them all sideways. That's it. Nothing special about that deck. But it does run some Power Matters cards like Colossal Majesty and Outcaster Trailblazer, and Garrick's Uprising. These cards that draw cards. You have a big creature come into play, and then I also have things like I also have Garrick's Pack Leader in there as well. But I also have things like Elysian Caryatid and Fanatic Aronis that get turned on when you have big creatures in play. There's also a Savala in there. And then, the commander herself, Shadowheart, will turn big creatures into card draw. And so I do run a small package of creatures that are just big power but have downsides just to trigger these types of effects. Most of the deck is just kind of efficient big beaters, but I do have some efficient big power creatures with downsides there just to be eaten by Shadowheart and to trigger all those other things. So I used to run Relic Golem and Lupine Prototype, which will trigger these things, but essentially don't attack or block ever because they just never get turned on. But I've since replaced Relic Golem with Rocksteady and Bebop, or Bebop and Rocksteady, sorry. They're both 3-mana creatures, and where Relic Golem will probably never ever attack or block, at least Bebop and Rocksteady, you don't want to attack or block with it, but you still can if you need to. And then Lupine Prototype, that's the one that I replaced with Slumbering Trudge, because Slumbering Trudge can come down for as little as 1 mana, so even less than Lupine Prototype, and can eventually turn into an attacker or blocker, whereas Lupine Prototype, again, just basically never ever attacks or blocks. And then Slumbering Trudge, if you cast it for 4 mana, it just comes down as a straight 6/6 beater. So another good card for the deck. So the third card from Secrets of Strixhaven is Pensive Professor, which is going into my Mothman deck, the Wise Mothman. I will admit, this card I didn't crack, but I did buy it for 75 cents at my local card store. And I will also admit, it has not quite made it into the deck yet. Not because I don't want to, but because as I was going through that deck recently, I found that I had bought Polywog Prodigy for it. And I don't think that card's very good, but I did buy it for that deck, and I want to at least give it a try. So I'm going to try Polywog Prodigy in this deck first. I think it's going to suck, and then I will eventually probably cut it for Pensive Professor. But Pensive Professor is a card that pays off for putting +1/+1 counters on things, right? It's specifically itself, and that's what the Mothman does. So it gives you some card draw. I run Fathom Mage and Fetid Gargantua in this deck for the same reason, and so it's just nice having another copy of that effect. But yeah, we'll see. Probably will replace Polywog Prodigy. But yeah, that's the third card from Secrets of Strixhaven that has made it into my commander decks.